All right, Sammy, we're going to kick stuff up
All
right
right.
now. Kick it off. That's what they say in English. This English is hard, man. Anyway, welcome to Talk to Me Africa. On this show, Sammy, what I do is I bring information to people that is authentic and verifiable in today's media space, where there's a lot of unverifiable information and you really cannot distinguish sometimes the good from the bad, from the ugly, the fake from the real. So I created this platform to bring us information that is authentic and verifiable and educational, especially. So hosting you here today is a pleasure. So thank you for accepting to be here on Talk to Me Africa.
Thank you so much, Mabel. The pleasure is always mine.
I am so glad. The first time you were on my show, you were on my radio show on Afro
Yeah,
Melodies, and we talked a
yeah.
lot. And I got to learn about your music choices,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I got to hear some beautiful proverbs that you said in your language. I hope you have some more proverbs for us here today.
I think I should have. Yes, I do.
You should, yes. I love it.
Yeah.
I just had a guest. The first show I had today, she's from Nigeria. She's a medical doctor, and she gave me two beautiful proverbs in her Igbo language. You're from Igbo as well, right?
Yeah. Oh,
It
yeah.
was
That's
great. It was, I mean, the interpretation of African proverbs is what just melts me because she struggled to say it in her language. Like, I don't want to say this wrong. Hold on. And then when you say it now to translate it, like, oh, that's the best I can do. So I like how the language makes the proverbs authentic and that you
yeah.
struggle to translate to English. Anyway, that is not
Yeah.
why we're here, but we're here to talk about a lot of things, talk about non-profit organization in
Yeah.
Nigeria and talk about artificial intelligence.
Definitely. Yeah.
And my guest today is, he goes by the name MC Sammy, but he's Samuel Uche.
Definitely. Yeah. That's my
All
name.
right, let me try to introduce you to my audience. What I know about you so far is that you are Samuel Uche, but you're known on the social media platform out of the social media world into the real world as MC Sammy.
Yeah. Some wonder.
Yes, correct. You're an IT professional. You use modern technology to communicate. You are an expert in that field and you use it to impact the lives of some youths in Nigeria,
Definitely.
where you are from originally. And you started two non-profit organizations to talk about today, BrainsOverSexuality International and Next Generation Technology Support Foundation. Two. I don't know how you
Yes.
do it, but I'm so proud of
Oh,
you for doing that.
yeah. Thank you.
Today, we will talk about those two non-profit organizations, and then we'll also talk about artificial intelligence. Again, let me welcome you to Talk to Me Africa.
Thank you so much.
Let's start with the non-profit organizations, Sammy. But before we
Okay.
get there, first question is, tell us a fun fact about Sammy that people don't know about. Fun fact.
I think there could be a lot of fun facts about me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm an easygoing person and I
Mm-hmm.
love people naturally.
Mm.
So I think some of the things that give rise to running two nonprofits in Nigeria is in the fact that I love to give back. I feel like life is meaningful, has meaning
Yeah.
for the people that touched. And
Mm-hmm.
you will always see it in my conversations with people.
Mm-hmm.
You will
Oh
see
my
how
goodness.
slow people. I definitely love to give back. And secondly, I really love Africa so much. It
Mm-hmm.
pains me to see a lot of things not going so well in our communities back home, not just in Nigeria, to other neighboring countries in Africa as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I love people, I love Africa. I also love to talk. So that's where the MC part of me came in from. So I speak in the English language comes very naturally to me, both in writing and in speaking as well. So a lot of them. I counsel young people as well. There are a lot of fun facts about me. So
Wow.
yeah,
You counsel young people. You know, when I first met you, you were MC at a ceremony by Moad, the anniversary celebration, and I listened to you because I also do MCing on the side, and I love to listen to other MCs because not only do I admire what they do, which is very impromptu, but I get to learn from them. I mean, I talked to you, I said you're very calm. If I would talk to Sammy on the ordinary, I would not think you are an MC because people were like, oh, MC always like that too much and stuff like that. But the way you pass on your message, I picked a couple of things. You give people consequences for not doing something. I kept laughing. I'm like, this is a very good strategy as an MC to say,
Yes.
hey, if you don't do this, you're not going to eat. And it's funny, but it's good. And it's the way that you say it.
Yeah.
You have a very calm way of saying it that it goes through very succinct. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, thank you for doing that and for teaching me also certain things about being an MC. I think you're a good one. You are.
Thank you. It's a
You're a
privilege.
good one. So let's start talking about non-profit organizations. So you like to give back, you said, but
Yeah.
giving back in a way that is so divergent. You give back to females, you give back to youths when it comes to technology. Let's start with the female part of it. BrainsOverSexuality International. I learned from you the first time that this is an organization that deals with helping females
Yeah. Young
learn
women.
about their sexuality and how to take care of their sexual health. You are a male.
Yeah.
Why did you start such a non-profit for females specifically?
So I feel like it was a natural instinct. So when I was a little bit younger, I saw myself protecting young women. I didn't know what I was doing, but I felt it, especially when it comes to sexual harassment. I saw myself trying to protect younger women. There's some posture I see a young man and a young woman in,
Yeah,
and I somehow felt like that young lady would be in danger or something of
yeah.
that nature. And so there was a lot of objectification of women in my society. And I'm not saying overall that my society is bad, but I could just see how people, both men and women, also treated women, the women gender. Uh, Young girls were just naturally objectified. I saw the trend where young women finish secondary school and they become sales girls. I'm not saying, hustling in a very legit way is not good, but there's something about education and empowering the female child. you know there's something about it, and I see that from just finishing secondary school to transitioning to doing sales rep. Some of them transition into marriage sometimes, probably because they are from poor families, and so there is no outlook about pursuing further education, getting educated, because I feel like if a lady is educated, her chances at life is slightly improved compared to when she doesn't have education. I'm not talking about academics. I'm talking about being educated, having valuable skills that contribute not just to herself, to her family, but also to the society overall. So they go on to become better mothers, they go on to become better people in the society as well. Marriage is beautiful, but I
Yeah.
think it's more beautiful with people who are skilled, women especially. So these are some other factors that I saw that were brewing in my society, made me to decide to pursue that campaign, because my goal, I just wanted the girl child to be empowered by herself. It's a little bit divergent from how people are doing stuff today, where
Yeah.
you ask the other gender because you want to raise the other one. No, I feel like I know that we have a lot of issues or struggles that keep the girl child from probably prospering. But let's first of all deal with her. How much of herself does she know?
Yeah.
How much of herself does she know? How much of her capacity can she be able to tap in if everything, everything is equal? So we started with school campaigns, going to secondary schools to talk to young women, letting them know of things that they are capable of doing. So we started with educational campaigns, or as we grew older in our non-profit business, we also discovered too that in as much as people despise campaigns about women's health, or especially when it comes to the menstrual and reproductive health, but those things are very critical.
Yeah.
So I usually despised projects like that growing up, because I felt like it wasn't intellectual enough. When people say, okay, you're donating sanitary towels to young women, I felt like it wasn't intellectual enough. There are better programs you can carry out. I mean, you have tech programs you can do for young women. So, but I had an aha moment when I discovered too that when I realized that there were some kids who used drag for the menstrual cycle, to be able to keep themselves through that cycle, sometimes they have to reuse it. We had kids from poor villages
Yeah.
who don't have access to some of those sanitary materials or towels that are expensive in Nigeria. I know how much we purchase some of those things to distribute to kids in secondary schools. So I felt like it was going to be a signature move for me every of my birthday. My birthday is next week. I don't even know, but 19th of February. So between 19th and 20th of February every year, we usually donate sanitary towels to young women, even when I came to the US here. So that's part of the things that we do. When it comes to their menstrual health, we've also done programs around HIV and AIDS sensitization, because we discovered there were some communities in south part of Nigeria where young women become exposed to sex very early in a
Yeah.
very wrong way. And so they don't have the necessary knowledge or wherewithal to be able to protect themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I personally preach abstinence until marriage because I'm a
Mm-hmm.
Christian. So most of these young women don't have access to those knowledge. And the thing is that the brunt of teenage pregnancy is usually more on the girl than on the boy.
Yep.
And sometimes the law don't protect them.
Mm-mm.
The law doesn't. I've handled cases for of such kind of cases. The law
Yeah.
doesn't sometimes protect
It
them.
doesn't. In Africa, no man
Yeah,
says that, hey, I am, responsible. They just go away. They come back like
yeah,
15 years later, I'm your father.
yeah.
The law
Not
says
not
nothing.
not even that alone. We've had cases where law enforcement officers actually mock young women who were raped. I have handled young women who have been sexually molested. I've handled cases where I've met girls who were gang raped by armed robbers who came to rob their homes multiple
Mm-hmm.
times.
Mm-hmm.
I've handled cases where a girl said no to people who were making advances at them and they got raped, and they said nothing is going to happen to that.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you want to take up the case before before the court or before enforcement officers, families will tell you that they don't want to pursue such cases. Probably are trying to
Yeah.
protect their community.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
there was just like a lot really going on. They were just muddled up together. And so we said, till we get the law right, how about we try within our own capacity to protect the
Mm-hmm.
girl?
Mm-hmm.
And so we started going out to teach them about a couple of things. I know to an extent about the female body to an
Mm-hmm.
extent. It's
Mm-hmm.
very easy for me to do the kind of work. So we also have to bring in other people, team of young women as
Mm-hmm.
well, to follow us on such kind of things. We go with sanitary towels. We go with other kinds of things. Like we had a project in a place called Ogoja in Nigeria where
Mm-hmm.
we had to do free HIV tests. We tested around 300 girls for free, donated over 200 sanitary towels for them. That was the biggest project I did before coming to coming to the US. And that was like we reached about 8,000 girls across 5 secondary schools
Wow.
in 5 days. Yeah. Overall, I've personally as an individual, I've spoken to more than 10,000 young women between
Wow.
2016 till I left Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's an avenue to give back because I've seen that when you raise some of those young women, teach them about who they are, bring them into the reality of their potentials and the rest of them,
Mm-hmm.
you make the society better. There's also a flip side where I think too that their collaboration and partnership is supposed to come in. We have
Mm-hmm.
organizations that have a vision for the boy child is supposed to work in tandem with
With
this
the
girl
girl
child
child.
organization, so that we don't
Yeah.
just be good women and then we raise young men who quote unquote objectify women, don't see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of unlearning to really do in our cultures back home. A lot of unlearning to do about how people see and perceive
Mm-hmm.
women overall. Yeah.
Oh. Sammy, listening to you, I am so inspired because when you say you began this a few years back, and I'm looking at you, you look so young. I'm thinking, what really made you a few years back doing this for women? You have a sister, I'm assuming.
Yeah, just one sibling. Yeah, my sister.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
great. So I believe that when you have that sister, you look at her, you you look at her and you love her. So you see other girls as your sisters. So you feel that urge to protect them. And I
yeah,
know I grew up in Cameroon, similar to Nigeria, where things are not cheap. And nonprofits, people don't really just donate. You struggle to raise money. How did you
exactly.
fund for this project, especially the biggest one you did before you came to America? How do you fund for that?
So the thing is that they say where there is a will, there is a
There's
way.
a way. Mm-hmm.
So most of the funding comes either from personal funding or through my circle of friends. So
Yes,
one thing about these kind of things is that once people see that you're really consistently passionate about something,
mm-hmm.
some of
Mm-hmm.
them will support you in their own little way.
Yeah.
So, for example, the last project we did in Ogoja in Cross River, I wasn't even present in that place because I was staying in southeastern part of Nigeria. So
Mm-hmm.
because they've seen me consistently pursue the girl child, it's even shaped the kind of jobs that I took because I wanted to be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go back to southeastern part of Nigeria. And what they did was they had to liaise with some small companies over there in Ogoja. And those
Mm-hmm.
companies helped us with the HIV toolkits for those ones. They themselves amongst them, the individuals over there, were able to also raise some funds. So we
Mm-hmm.
got some sanitary towels from home. and we traveled down to Ogoja, and they also brought their own, and we merged it together. We donated it to the young women. And like I said, funding is really a very big issue.
It is. Yeah.
It is a very big issue. Why? Because, for instance, I've done a lot of things because, like I said, I like to give back. When I was serving in Kano, I did the first ever, statewide spelling bee competition. And the goal was just to promote literacy. Yeah, I've done a spelling bee competition for over 170 schools in Kano, in Nigeria. So it's a predominantly northern state in Nigeria, and this is not in any way to cast aspersion on them.
Yeah. And
They,
when you say
they
northern, is mostly Islamic, right?
definitely,
Okay.
yeah. And Kano has the highest number of local government areas in Nigeria, about 44 of them.
Yeah.
And
And we're
so,
not stigmatizing by any way, just telling a
oh
story. Yeah.
no. That's why I had to put that disclaimer out there.
Correct. Yeah.
So, but the thing is that every region in Nigeria is known for something very specific.
Absolutely.
When it comes to commerce, where we are coming from, we are basically known for commerce. The southeastern part of Nigeria, the people from the west are majorly known for education. The northerners are basically known for politics and governance. And so when I went to serve there, it was a little bit hard to promote a project that has to do with educational literacy. It was harder. In fact, I met companies that I went to ask them for funds, and they told me that the kind of funding they give is for entertainment industry.
Wow.
So at the end, so at the end of the day, we just had to find a way to do it, and the program ran for 3 months. We had to find a way and do it, So I mean, that's part of it. Funding is usually an issue. It's usually an issue when it comes to doing the kind of work that I did back in Nigeria, or we are still doing.
Wow.
Yeah,
I mean, this is impressive. Now, when I look at the name, BrainsOverSexuality International, I think about their sexuality and brain. Sometimes when people behave in a way that is very sexually explicit, you wonder if they have brains. Recently, I don't know if you follow American entertainment, but I do follow to an extent, where Kanye West took his wife to the Grammys and she was naked, basically naked. So I'm thinking brains over sexuality. Yeah, that is a good example of no brains and you have your sexuality out there. What made you pick this name? Is it because you saw that these girls, because of their conditions, sometimes will do things that will make you think that they don't have brains? But I love the name. What made you pick this name?
All right, so let's even look at the current trend. So where a lot of young women undergo through very, very strenuous amounts of surgeries to be able to adjust their body parts. And so women have been, stereotyped into thinking that the more beautiful or more sexually appealing they are, the more the value they have. It could be true in some instances based on the kind of society that you find yourself in. So sometimes people try to, how would I just put it? That there's some sort of parallel line between a beautiful woman and a woman who is mentally sound.
Yeah.
And so they keep promoting that layers of sexuality, pushing that kind of narratives on our young women and all of that. And so when we came out, we were like, hey, you know what? A woman has a brain. I keep telling people two things. As a woman, especially for someone who wants to delve into relationship, there is a principle you must have. Let someone, first of all, meet your principles before meeting you as an individual, or before meeting your gender. You've got to meet my principles. You get what I mean? And then before the advent of the MRS scanners to know the gender of a child, when a woman is pregnant, she's pregnant with a human. And so you don't get to know the gender. So why would you judge a woman based on her biology alone? And she's a human being and has a faculty of reasoning. So that was the kind of agenda we wanted to push, that a woman is human and has the capacity to think and bet forth innovative and inventive things. And so that was the ideology we were pushing into the younger women, especially those of them in secondary schools back in Nigeria. We just wanted them to have that knowledge that you are enough. You have what it takes to be able to shape and change your world. And those were the things we were doing. Some of them, we had to cut them off from some relationships that were not healthy for them. We had to let them go. Other ones had to find a way to connect them to some things that can help them upskill themselves, become better individuals in the society. So the goal was to be able to become better. And I have noticed that some of these girls who start out very early, and it's the kind of culture we see over here in the US, where people start exploring their sexuality very early.
I know.
Yeah.
18, I have a girlfriend. I'm like, what are you doing with a girlfriend at 13? You know what? That was one of my American shocks when I came to America. I realized that kids are dating at 13. It's okay. Like, and then your parents drop you off at the, you know what? Let's continue this conversation because yeah, my Africanness is coming out right now.
Yeah. So I mean, those are like contrasting views. You get what I'm saying? The communal nature of Africa, and then the individualistic nature of the West here. They are stark realities. So but the thing is that we have found that if a woman takes time to properly build herself, and I'm not saying this that she's building herself for a man. No, you have dreams.
You have values.
Yeah, there was a popular Nigerian musician that was doing very well, that her dreams got stifled because she was in a bad marriage. She was killed. I know that people are
Osinachi.
yes, okay. Oh, thank God you know her. So I know people promote marriage. Marriage is beautiful, marriage is good. So like, but these are aspects of life you must have to prepare yourself to walk into. You don't just dabble into it from secondary school. You can become that aeronautic engineer you want to become. You can go ahead and become a very well-known marketer, advertiser, whatever it is that you want to do with your life. Build yourself, build up your skill set. That's what we're telling them. Build up your skill set. What a lot of folks don't know is that it makes you more attractive, and you attract people who have the same value system like yourself. And I've seen it with the advent of things like internet fraud and whatsoever. I look at the young boys and I look at the kind of young women they attract in their space. It's almost the same.
Yeah.
So if training, building up yourself, upskilling yourself improves a woman's outlook generally. And I'm not saying she's doing this because of man, so that people don't take me out of context. You're doing it for yourself. At the end of the day, when you grow old and you're in your deathbed, you look back and say, you really died empty. You gave your all. That's basically where I'm coming from. So that's just basically how I see it.
I don't know if you would agree that this objectification of women has been a lot more portrayed thanks to social media. Before social media, you will hear people say she is brains and she's beauty. It's like you don't hear them say that for men. When a woman is beautiful, is she expected to be dumb? That when she is beautiful and smart, they say, oh, she's beauty and brains, like as if there's something that should complement her beauty, which should not be there normally. And so they give that onto her, right? And so today it seems like beauty is defined by social media. A lot of Africans in the Nollywood space, let me talk about our African movie industry, have done the BBLs. They've done the tummy talks. They've done the artificial, breast implants and all that stuff. And so beauty now doesn't seem to be in the eyes of the beholder, but it's in the eyes of social media. So when you started this nonprofit, did you see an impact of social media on these girls that made them go a certain way that you're trying to redirect them to a good path? My question to summarize is, what is the impact that you've seen on social media on these girls that you work with?
So the thing is, there's a certain age an individual will be in that they have not formed their personal value systems.
I agree.
So maybe if I had come to the US like 5 years ago, there are changes that could easily hit me as an individual. Now I'm much older, wiser in a way, that there are some things you can bring.
Yeah, let some people hear you. They go, who's saying he's much older?
Yeah,
well, older than when you started this project.
Yeah, I mean, you get the context I'm saying. So the dangers of social media is that a lot of these young children have not formed the principle that will guide their journey across life, and they hop onto social media. You see how their worldview is shaped by women who couldn't make their marriages work, or men who use money to get women. It's for both gender, but since the context of a conversation is for women, so I'll focus more on that. And so that's why it's imperative that even parents are involved in this. You should be very smart to know what's going on in the world. So this is not the age. Some of us were very lucky that our parents gave us a sex education while we were growing up. So
you were lucky. Your parents gave that to you?
Yeah.
Wow.
She still does that. So
I am proud of your father and mother.
Yeah. So I that's also something I'm really grateful to God for.
Yes, you should be.
Because it shaped my life. There was the place of contentment with what I had, where I was coming from, and I was also very contented with how I looked. because there are a lot of things really going on
We
here.
don't get that. We didn't get that growing up. And then today, even if you try to give that to your children, they go, oh, that's not how Kim Kardashian looks. Oh, they want to go. That's why you said like that. They're doing all these procedures to shape themselves. And the perception is to look like what somebody somewhere is making them think that that's the way to go.
Yeah. So overall, social media is very good. It's powerful.
Absolutely, yes.
It has built civilizations. It has also tore down civilizations as well. So social media has also shaped. Like I worked with some young women who were dating internet fraudsters that they met off social media, and so we had to find a way to cut off such kind of relationship. Most of the girls that I ever mentored or get to work with, I met them off social media. And so you see people carrying a lot of hot. So I usually do it through Facebook. So I belong to some platforms where people will sometimes share their stories, and I'll slide into their DM and ask them questions. Sometimes there could be an exchange of number depending on their willingness and consent. And then if they're within our same city, they can come for our programs or we even meet up in person, sometimes with my team. But if they are not, I have had girls that I've worked with that I never met and I will never meet them.
Yeah.
Some of them have gone on to get married. Some of them have grandkids, and some of those ones.
Wow.
So yeah. So that's just the thing. That's also I'm just telling you all of this to tell you the power of social media. So, but the thing is that at what point is a child supposed to, interface with social media? So parents are supposed to be saddled with the responsibility of helping their kids build very strong principles in life. I had a story. This is on the internet, so I can share it.
Yeah.
Of a young girl that the uncle, the mom's brother, was living with them. And so every day she comes to class, she complains to the teacher that the brother was eating her cookie.
Oh my goodness.
So, and this happened for 6 solid months. And so the teacher couldn't make out, like, what is cookie? Like, is it like biscuits? Are you talking about
That was in Nigeria.
I think it's a Nigerian story. So
Okay.
it turns out that the mom, while teaching her about sexual or sex education, told her that the private region
It's
is
a cookie.
the cookie.
No.
So
What's the real names?
yeah, so the uncle took advantage of that and was sexually molesting her for 6 months. And so it was when the story persisted that the teacher called the parents and the parents called a lawyer. So you could see. So parents now have some layers of role or responsibility to first of all be aware of what's going on in our society today. We have a lot of games that kids play today, truth or dare, that have led them into a lot of things. I've read about bangles where colors showed mean different kind of sexual things to do. So there are a lot of them. So you have to be up to the game to know what's going on, and then also be like between your kids and what they learn on social media. For instance, a lot of celebrity marriages are getting broken. A lot of divorces going on. Your kids should be able to look at you as the man of the house to see how you treat your mom. Okay, this is the way it's supposed to be. Also,
Right.
have a very wonderful relationship with your kids, and all of that. So at the end of the day, with our work, how the parents are showing up and ensuring that there is like a gap, like some sort of war between what their kids learn from social media and the real life, it's easier for us to make the work, much better.
I agree. I
Yeah.
totally, you know what? I feel like this is going to be a long conversation. I'm loving it so far.
Sure.
I don't know what background you had before you got involved in this, but I think along the line, you've learned so much about these girls. And do you keep in touch with them before we get to the next topic? Do you keep in touch with some of them? Do they come back and give testimonies in your groups?
Yeah. So
Because
yeah, I do. I keep in touch with some of them, but of course, life happens. Some of them may move on. So there's a thin line between knowing when your job is done in a person's life,
I
and
agree.
so the principle of how I designed it naturally is that. So first of all, God really helped me to be like a very strong role model to them because some of them are coming from abused homes,
Yeah.
dysfunctional homes. In fact, I got to a point where some of these young women start crushing on you.
Yeah.
I'm saying this in
You're the
public.
savior. Let's come to you, but hug me, give me
Yeah.
the peace. Yeah, I hear you.
So basically, why the picture of men or male figures that have been in their life has been warped, has
Yeah.
been has been tilted in the wrong direction, and then someone shows up. Sometimes you can part with your resources, money, your time, and you're not asking them for anything in return. And I'm not saying this to just boast about myself, but just like say, um, the way I design is like it's supposed to be very practical, because I've seen some of them who mentors violated their trust, who their pastors. I'm telling you real life stories.
Yeah.
That they're not cockaboo stories. Where pastors and bishops took advantage of, young girls who naturally we are trust and probably a little bit naive. So first of all, what we had to do was to set up a structure where we don't break those laws. We don't break those laws. And to be able to do that, so I also had like mentors. Some of them were female. So there are some cases a young woman can bring to me. I was like, hey, I think I may not be able to handle this.
Exactly.
Just push them to these ones to say, okay, this is what we are. We've seen cases where we had kids who probably they had like teenage pregnancy or whatever. We just know the right resources to channel them to people who have been, maybe, I don't know what happened, and they felt like they had HIV or something. Okay, this is someone you need to channel this thing to. So by the time we do it and they consistently see a strength in your character, they will want to stick around. And again, it's up to you. It's up to you to ensure that you don't break that code.
That's right.
Because once you do it, you become like the rest of the people who they once
That's
looked
right.
and they messed up. So by doing so, when they see that you are living this kind of standard of life, they will want to emulate it. Not just emulate it, I also teach them to go out there and fish for other young women as well. So
Absolutely.
you just don't learn and stop. I expect that after
You
staying
pay
with us,
forward.
yeah, you go and fish other people and also teach them what you've learned. Because while there are some of those ones that I can't get to, they have not established a layer of trust with me, but they can talk to you. And because you have been with us for a while, you know how it's done, and you can easily also influence and impact them as well.
Yeah. This is so inspirational. I feel like this could be a whole talk just about this brains over sexuality. But let's move on to your next nonprofit, which is Next Generation Technology Support Foundation. What do you consider next gen technology?
Cool. So you see, I've been doing Brains Over Sexuality
Yeah.
for it's 2016.
Wow, 8 years.
Yeah. So, but I had a question in my heart. Like, remember I started by saying that I love Africa and I love to be there. So when I arrived here, the volunteering spirit in me also continued. I started volunteering for science fairs here in the US. I volunteered for science fairs. Most of them were online, some were in person. California, we had Ohio, we had here in Massachusetts, some of them in Boston as well. So I saw something. I saw like a pattern or a trend. I saw that most of the young kids who were part of those science teams were majorly of Indian American.
Decent.
Yeah. I also saw people who were Chinese American, and then I saw just people who were Caucasian. I never saw any black team.
So not
That's
just African black people,
no
but
blacks.
blacks as a whole.
No blacks. I never saw any black team. You know that when you meet, I have not lived here for so long, so I may not be correct, but I've heard people say that most times the average black kid around here wants to either go play in NFL or wants to go play in the NBA. I have not lived here for so long, so I can't vouch for that.
That's a
So
stereotype. I've heard that too. It's a stereotype. Which to an extent is true, because when you look at the sports world in America, they're mostly black people. And I have a son who's 14, and when he was 12, he started doing analysis for a football team, Minnesota Vikings, right? And the first time he got invited to Fox TV channel to talk about his passion for football analysis, and the video was put online, somebody commented that, why is he working for those white people? He should go play the game because he is black. Okay, so what you're saying is right. Is that stereotype? You cannot just stand up and be a commentator of a game when you are black. You have to play that because that's where we belong. So yes, what you're saying is a stereotype, and it's true.
Yeah. So that's why I just had to put it that way, because I'm not sure. I've not stayed a while to be able to understand a couple of things. But my experience or encounters with those things, and I'm not telling you just one event.
Yeah.
Multiple times, both in person and online. I never saw any team. Once I interacted with them that had maybe like a black delegated team. In fact, I'm talking to you, December last year. In fact, December last year, I was a judge at VEX at WPI. X is a robotics competition. I think WPI is the ones who are pioneering it.
Mm-hmm.
Only team that we are black was a black team was the guys that came all the way from South Africa for that.
No way.
I'm not joking.
And WPI is Worcester something Institute.
The Technic Institute. Yeah.
Yes, it's right here in America. And they had no black team to represent in the competition.
I wouldn't know if anybody in that category knew about it, but these guys traveled all the way from South Africa for that program, and they were part of it. I know this because they are my friends. I'm very close to him. In fact, he's part of the people that I work with at the African Community Education Center to be able to teach coding and robotics in that center. So that's one part. The second part is that I've been doing this BrainsOverSexuality work since 2016. So I'm very passionate about Africa, and the goal and desire is to be able to lift as many persons possible.
Yeah.
We're reaching out people at points of their need, but we're not teaching them how to fish.
Yeah.
We're not teaching them to what point they can be able to utilize what they know to be able to become better versions of themselves.
Yeah.
One thing helped me growing up, I learned very early not to associate my success with the people of my age grade within the same community where I live in. Let me say that again. So if I'm 20 and I look at other 20-year-old kids in my area and probably I'm doing better than them or we're in the same place, it means probably I'm not succeeding to an extent. So what I try to do is to equate myself with a 20-year-old kid in Singapore. Even though I know that the odds are not in my favor because maybe I don't have a good government, I don't have steady power supply, I don't have access to internet facilities. So, but what it's like you start to live an uncomfortable life. Because if you feel like, oh, what it means to succeed at 20 is because the kids in your own area are doing the same thing you're doing at 20, you're not really succeeding.
Yeah.
I try to teach my younger girls as well. So I felt like just donating Saturday tutorials, teaching about the menstrual and reproductive health, it's a good stuff.
Yeah.
From those nests. Some of these girls are from very poor homes that their parents might not be able to afford their school and all of that. And then Africa as a whole is really lagging behind when it comes to the advancement in technology, especially with AI and robotics. And I have seen that the only competitive advantage we can have if we start using them properly is the utilization of technology.
Technology, yes.
Not just technology. I also realized that the very first few years of a child's life most times is usually wasted in Africa.
Yep. The
average child between 0 to 10 don't know what they're doing. I have a kid in the African Community Education Center where we're working with today. Sometimes I'll just be listening to the kid talk. He plays instruments. He's part of the robotics club in his school. He has competed at Zero Robotics before, where they write codes that try to work on the astrobee in space. And when I listen to this young boy talk, his ability to work on, he likes to solve problem, and he's just 11. Whereas a kid in Africa of that same age is probably learning how to spell hippopotamus.
Yeah.
And so by the time we now begin to learn how to do catch up, we have lost track of time.
We have.
The technologies are coming out. So I said, okay, well, in addition to what we're doing for the girls, we can come up with something. That's why we had the word support, and we're looking at the next generation. So how about we come up with something, a non-profit? Our goal is to be able to teach these younger ones technology, especially AI and robotics, but we try to start very early to be able to capture their early childhood, because we've seen that kids learn faster at that age, and they have this tendency or proclivity to learn things better. For me as an adult, even if I have a lot of things I want to learn, you have bills to pay, you have a lot of things to think about, you have responsibilities, but they don't. So they have an opportunity to really explore life, right? So that was what brought us into that place, because we wanted to bring technology to them, not just technology, but to bring it to them very early, and technology that solves problem. I don't just believe in gathering robotics materials, do robotics events and tournament. Can it solve problem in our local society?
Wow.
We have security issues. Is there any way we can design robots that can help us do some things, using our locally sourced materials? It'd be very possible. We don't know, but it's part of the things we want to find out on the long run.
That's great. I like it. I really like it. So I did research that the next gen technology encompasses a wide range of emerging innovations that are set to transform various industries and aspects of daily life, like you said, solve problems, right? So let's get now into the details of it, right?
Okay.
AI, is that one of them?
Yeah, definitely. So there are two core categories of what we're looking at, but we're also talking about other things. We feel like it's going to be AI and robotics. Because like we are from the probably the latest trends of things that we're seeing, AI is really shaping the world.
Yeah.
Robotics is also an area where AI too is also shaping as well. You know, it looks like people are going towards things that can help make human life easy, try to automate things. I mean, WPI here has I think it's called Tech Eats that deliver foods using robots. So instead of hiring someone who is a delivery driver, so you simply package people's food and put them
I'm
inside
putting
this,
in a
and it delivers it to them. So there are a lot of good sides to that. Maybe because an Uber driver is running late or the delivery driver is running late, he might not hit traffic. These robots are designed in such a way that they are
they go to the
autonomous.
direction. Exactly.
In fact, they are intelligent systems. So they are designed in such a way that they are autonomous, right? And they have sensors that can help them navigate their pathway till they get to the place where they're going to. If they get to a place where there's an obstacle, they might stop, the obstacle will pass, or they might redirect themselves, depending on how they are designed. So AI and robotics are really the in thing right now.
We know.
Every sector of life, you will see AI, from healthcare to medical practitioners to sport to every single area, even people that cook food.
I went to the doctor. By the way, thank you, Mercy Kua, for joining and for the stars. I really appreciate you. Please, I would really love for you to share this because this is what we're talking about today that we need in our communities in the United States, and especially for those of us who are immigrants. Take this back to our African communities so that our kids can know that this is the new generation. Back to what we're talking about the AI here. I went to the doctor last month for my physical, and she said, "Oh, let me have AI type while we just talk." I go,
Oh
"Okay."
yeah.
It's being used in every field, in
Yeah.
every single field. Now, let's talk about the good sides of AI and robotics and all the technology stuff. Now, like I just mentioned, my doctor said, let me talk to you why it is typing. That's a good side. But at the end of the day, she said, oh, I have to edit this. Can we trust it fully?
So the thing is, at the end of the day, there are
The lapses.
definitely. So that's why for some of us who do things around machine learning or deep learning, we call it predictions.
Predictions,
We try to
absolutely.
now benchmark them against what is correct.
Mm-hmm.
To what extent both of them matches will determine how much accurate that predictions might be for
Mm-hmm.
that given AI tool. So
Mm-hmm.
the thing is that over time, AI has evolved and people are becoming more reliant on it.
Mm-hmm.
If you check last 5 years ago, students would just have to, or okay, let's use programmers for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Programmers who, if you run into an error where you're writing codes
Yeah.
for your program, you would have to start surfing the internet and visit places like stackoverflow.com and some other places. But now I just simply need to take the feedback that the system gave to me as the error and put it into ChatGPT, and in less than 2 minutes, I will know the reason why that thing failed. ChatGPT doesn't even need to see my full codes. By just simply seeing the error I have, it could show me possibilities why
Mm-hmm.
my code failed. If I decide to now share my codes properly, it can be able to pinpoint that to me. First of all, it improves efficiency of work
Mm-hmm.
because the lag time between finding out why my code was not working and the time I fixed it becomes shortened with AI. That's a good side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can we trust AI? Um, it's a 70-30 thing because advancements are really going on right now. Advancements are really going on. Advancements are really going on in terms of to create very reliable AI tools, right? So it's a 70-30 thing. People are, I mean, like you mentioned, doctors have AI tools that can help them
Take notes.
take note during meetings,
Mm-hmm.
summarize them very well, especially if they are premium tools, summarize
Mm-hmm.
them properly and send it back to the
Back to
doctor.
them.
Like
Yeah.
I told you already too, there are tools that researchers use to summarize papers.
Mm-hmm.
Use them to summarize papers, and then you understand what the whole paper is saying without having to sit down and read it.
Yeah.
If you're starting that, okay, you want to say something?
That's good. No, that's good. I'm saying that so it brings efficiency and automation, which is really good, right? But people are
Fantastic.
saying that AI is here to take away our jobs. What I used to be able to be employed to do, now they're like, okay, we needed 10 people for this task. With AI, we need 5 people. So it's taking away our jobs. Isn't that a bad thing?
Uh, so it's a little bit shaky.
Mm-hmm.
So, but see, one thing we must also realize at the end of the day is that it's gonna be very hard to come to get to a time where AI will do everything for us.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's definitely going to be hard to get to
So
that
because
time.
it's an automation, it's a machine, it's going to need somebody to drive it, and a human
Yeah.
has to set it. So it's eliminating some jobs, but not taking away every job. Can we say that?
Yeah, it's not going to. And again, too, it's about, first of all, what's like the acceptance rate of AI across the world?
Right,
Like a very big
right,
question. So we are
right.
seeing some of this advancement here in the West. In Africa, it's not
But
like
in
that.
Africa, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not like that. I'm telling you that some Nigerian government parastate house or institution, you have to manually fill out things.
I'm from
You-
Cameroon. Yeah.
So you have to. Last time I tried to fill my passport, I had to go down to, the consular in New York to be able to do my thumbprinting.
Mm-hmm.
This same thumbprinting they've taken from me before when I
Mm-hmm.
was in Nigeria for me to get my national identity number.
Yep.
So the big question is what is the acceptance rate of AI across the
Mm-hmm.
world? So it
Mm-hmm.
might take a longer period of time before people can lose their jobs entirely.
Mm-hmm.
So, but for now, actually here in the West, the efficiency or the benefits of AI sometimes outweighs, the lapses,
Mm-hmm.
right? There are some AI tools too that we've seen that even do better predictions than nurses. There are some fields. For instance, there's a research lab here at WPI called the Kia Lab, where people
Mm-hmm.
have worked on wounds or chronic back pain or even
Mm-hmm.
suicide, where you can use machine learning models to make predictions to know if to predict what kind of chronic wound an individual has, whether
Wow.
it's stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've also seen people who have developed, taken some of these things out of the lab into the real world and made products out of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
today, you don't need to go to the doctor before you can check your blood pressure. You have your
Yeah.
Apple Watch to keep track of those things.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Mm-hmm.
developing more personalized. You can check your sleep pattern, check
Mm-hmm.
your heart rate, check your stress rate to know if you're fatigued or not.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those things are really becoming like a part of our lives to
Mm-hmm.
reduce our reliance probably on doctors, which can be a little bit more expensive. So you see the good side, it can also lower the cost of medical bills. If
Mm-hmm.
you can be able to calculate the amount of steps I take in a day and its relation to how healthy I am, okay, it can begin to make some recommendations to me on how much steps I'm supposed to take in a day to be able to stay fit. We have the movie industry too. We have banks. We have people who are designing tools that can help you know what financial institutions to be able to, put your money into and the rest of them.
Yeah.
So AI
Yeah.
has come to stay. Is it going to take away our jobs? It's going to take away some.
Some jobs.
Again, how much is the acceptance rate or what is the acceptance rate of AI across the world, especially in
Mm-hmm.
Africa?
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
might take a longer time before that happens.
Yeah, I agree. So it's going to make life easy. Like you've talked about data analysis. Before
Yeah.
now, if you are a PhD student or some kind of researcher, you have to go word by word and look for stuff. Today it's like AI. I told you earlier before we went on live that I today was looking for a logo creation. I was like, I went to AI. I'm like, create a logo of. I gave the tools I needed. I'm like, what? It gave me a world of ideas to pick from. That
Mhm.
is where we are today.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. And the thing is that almost every platform you can see before people can use Bing
It's on
for
your
just
WhatsApp.
everywhere. So you
Mhm.
now have Meta AI here,
Mhm.
right? If you go to
Mhm.
Twitter, you have another one on Twitter. You go to Instagram, you have them. So these AI tools are there to just make, like, even people that are programmers today, we
Mhm.
have AI tools that can help you complete your codes. So
Mhm.
if you're writing codes, it's beginning to think the way you're thinking and what direction the code is going to, and then it's helping you do that. It will make life easy for us. I mean, it has come to stay.
It has come
So
to stay. So what
yeah.
are some of the ethical concerns we should have about AI? Um, can it really protect me? Does it know my privacy? Even if my doctor says, let's talk and let AI write, right? Now, I don't know if this information is stored in AI's database. that if my personal info is put in there, it could be accessed by some third party. Talk about the ethical concerns around AI.
Yeah, so I think privacy issues and like the ethical concerns you mentioned are really like a very huge one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, we have also heard too that each time you put in like a prompt into ChatGPT,
Mm-hmm.
you also like increasing, in as much as ChatGPT has been trained with billions and billions of data.
Mm-hmm.
So when you push some certain kind of data into ChatGPT, it's also absorbing some of those data, depending as well.
Right.
So privacy issues is really like a very huge concern when it comes to AI. So that's why a couple of institutions, the government, schools are coming up with some probably laws or policies to help protect their students, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there is you sometimes students are not aware. You may not be allowed to put in some very private details of yours, like your social security number, or probably
Your
maybe your house
names.
address, or something
Yeah.
into these AI materials.
Mm-hmm.
So because once you put the prompt into an AI tool, chances are that some of those data might be stored, even when you're just
Exactly.
putting up an account with them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why some governments are really making like very stringent laws to ensure that,
Mm-hmm.
in as much as we want this advancement, we also want people to be protected.
Right.
They don't get to lose some of their, assets, belonging, or we
Mm-hmm.
don't experience things like identity theft. So for you, the user of AI should be careful of the kind of um, 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 information you release to AI out
Mm-hmm.
there. You should be kind the kind of information. There's some information that is not supposed to leave your documents into AI,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that. So you protect
Yeah.
yourself, and the government's also coming up with policies. Schools send out newsletters teaching their students on how to, roll with AI. There are some
Mm-hmm.
things you're supposed to put into AI, and there are some information that you just need to just keep to yourself that is never supposed to even be on the internet. In
Right.
the Yeah.
And talking about identity theft, I had a guest on the show who is a whistleblower, worked for the United States government, and she became a whistleblower. And we talked about identity theft. And it was fascinating to reveal, even though we do know that, but for me to hear again that just being on this platform for 5 minutes and using my voice and my gestures, my identity could be stolen. Because a lot of times when we hear about identity theft, it's about, oh, they stole my ID card, oh, they stole my social. No, 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 it's you who are right here. We see a lot of memes going around because people have monitored, they've studied, they've looked at the way that Sammy talks, the way
Yeah.
I talk, my hand gestures, my voice. We hear a lot of today, the voice of the president, Donald Trump. It's not him saying certain things that people are just putting out there, or Obama. It's interesting how artificial intelligence can go that far as betraying people. So
Yeah.
talking about privacy is very important. Now, something I tell my kids all the time when they are on the computer, I say, I feel bad for you guys because you're talking with your friends on the computer for so long. I get it. You're keeping in touch. When I was growing up, we had to go meet on the playground and play hopscotch and do other kind of things. You're missing human touch. No matter how good the world has become a global village thanks to internet, nothing can replace the human
Interaction.
interaction. And so I tell my son, I said, one day, maybe when you guys start working, you're going to be interviewed by AI. You might not even see your manager or your co-workers until some day when you have some meeting going on. Let's talk about bias and fairness when it comes to AI. If AI has to be used to interview people in the future or to select a candidate for something in the future, even today, how do we know that it's not going to be biased? You and I talking yesterday, we're Africans. We have the accent, that's for sure. AI is not meant to recognize Igbo accent or my own Bakosi accent or
Yeah.
Cameroonian Nigerian accent.
Mm.
How is that going to tie in? Is it because it's being used primarily in the West that will say, okay, it's going to serve those people and then be biased against us? But what is your perception about AI being fair and being biased?
So I think I actually have a friend who has a research area in terms of fairness and
Mm,
fairness of AI systems and the rest of them.
hmm.
And it's a very important area of research, especially in big corporate
Right,
Google.
right.
At some point, I was surfing on the internet, and the people were really complaining that I think it was one of these large corporations that didn't want to put out information about current president of the US. But whenever you ask any question about the previous, democratic government or thereabout, they will easily just give it to you. So, and that's why this is where government regulations come in. The thing is that every AI system, I think it's even part of the laws of AI, should be fair, should be very fair, right? So you don't introduce bias or stereotypes into the training system for every AI that you build, right? And funnily enough, even though we are Africans, yeah, okay, this is happening in the West, your data back home, as some of them have been used to train some of these models, very
Absolutely.
large learning models, they have been used. So why? Because we have some of these AI tools that can speak to you in vernacular. They can understand your jokes and interpret it for you. Like someone wants to put out a joke to ChatGPT, say, find me 5 million naira. The person say, if I get 5 million naira, I go do ChatGPT. So it's like, yo. So this thing understands the joke. Why? Probably because they have been trained on data, gotten probably from people from that part of the world and how we do.
Yes.
So when it comes
Yes.
to fairness, I think it's a very an integral part of AI works that must have to be looked into, because systems have to be very fair. Like you mentioned, even in the future, people use AI to conduct interview. Chances are that they're doing it already, but it's an integrated system, not the full system in itself. Yeah, so people use it now. Zoom currently has an AI part.
Yeah.
The other platforms as well that conduct interviews, like I think Interview Stream or the other, but that might have an AI component as well. So government has to come up with policies that protect fairness, and companies have to have policies that ensure that there is fairness in their systems and don't introduce bias to users of their AI tools or material, probably because of their background, race, color,
Yeah.
or religion.
Or anything else. Yeah. When you talked about the person who was asking about 5,000 naira in AI, I remember this comedian who said that was Trevor Noah from South Africa. He said that it was Alexa back then, Alexa was the thing that was like, Alexa, what's the time? Alexa, what's the weather? And he said, well, Alexa would only hear if you are American. It was made to understand American accent. That was funny. But it's good to know that we've come this far where we can use AI to serve the entire globe, right? Now, remember when 5G became a thing? People were having 5G phones, and a friend of mine said, no, 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 no. That is something that China is using to put in its Samsung phones. When you buy a 5G phone, you're going to be monitored and you're going to have all these, surveillance and all that. AI and surveillance and security, is that something that we should worry about? For people who are afraid of technology, people are like, I'm going to use my burner phone. I don't want to get into all this AI 5G stuff.
Yeah.
Is it going to be used to look, survey us and see what's going on? And hey, I'm not sure. So
So
my point is, speak to someone who is worried about all this technological advancement in the world and surveillance and the fear of my information is going to be used by the United States government or China to monitor my movements and my communication.
yeah, so I think an inherent fear that people may have to spread, like people might be spying on them through their materials or thereabout. So, for instance, a lot of people buy laptops and then they use something to close the camera because you can visit some websites and someone can, through key login, get some of your details and hack your camera. And sometimes probably when you are just in your normal moment, someone can take your either snapshots and either use it to blackmail you.
That's a thing, yeah.
It happens, right? So the thing is that everything that is an invention or an advancement of technology sometimes could have a downside. So the first question is like, you have to first find a way to embrace this because it's part of the word. Now, the second question will be, how do you protect yourself? How do you not protect yourself? So, for instance, because I'm a little bit learned about this, there's a kind of email you sent to me that I would not open. I will not even
There
dare,
you go.
because you want to either spam me. If I click on the link, you take me to a website and then through phishing means steal my details, right? So it's not all platforms that you're supposed to insert your credit card or your debit card or thereabouts, right? If some things are necessarily of extremely sensitive, maybe consider not putting them on the internet. Consider not putting them on the internet. So there will be privacy concerns. People will be afraid that they could be tracked. It could be a thing. Some people call it conspiracy theory, but it could
Yeah.
be because the government has the resources to track you if they choose to.
Absolutely, yes.
They have the resources to be able to track you if you chose to, right? If they choose to, right? And some of these corporations too sometimes gives you like terms and conditions that sometimes we end up not reading.
Nobody reads fine print.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'm installing an app and it's asking me that I should give you permission to track my other apps. And I'm really like, why do you need that? What do you need that for?
And we just say yes, yes, yes. We don't even read.
And it's like, for me, it's a no. Like, why do you want to track some of this my app? Like, sometimes you can have my bank app in it. You can have another app that has some of your medical records in it. So why do you want to track it? There's a job I installed you to do. I know that there are some other materials, like maybe for the sake of personalization, maybe seeing how I solve the web, it could access my web browser to see how I solve the web, the kind of products I like to buy. That's why these algorithms, as a way it work.
Yeah.
Like YouTube, I search for something. Or recently I was trying to work on my insurance, my car insurance. And then before you know it, every time you're playing something on YouTube, it
You
brings you
get that car insurance pop up.
Geico will pop up. It's like, yo, what's going on? Why? Because their algorithms, they are tracking your browsing
Yeah.
history. They share data
Yeah.
product themselves. So the big question is like, how are you going to protect yourself? I feel like as individuals in this modern day and time, you have to embrace it that AI has come to stay. You have to be knowledgeable about this kid. Just say, oh no, you don't. No, you've got to be knowledgeable about how these things work and how you need to protect yourself. I've seen folks who just randomly send you a message asking you to send them money, and then you look at it, their WhatsApp has been hacked because someone told them about something somewhere and asked them to send them the code that was sent to them, and they were not aware. And the person took over their account and started swindling money from people. So you've got to learn about it, find ways to protect yourself, and stay on top of the game and know how some of these things work. If you don't understand,
Yeah.
you will research about it and then get better at it.
Awesome. I want to say thank you to John for joining. He says, great interview. Yeah, thank you so much, John. This is so informative. We're 1 hour on, but I have a couple more things to talk about before I let Sammy go today. It's so interesting. AI has really indeed come to stay. So recently I heard about deepseek.
Okay.
And from what I understand, there was something about China. And you should just tell us about DeepSeek. Is it the newest version of modern tech, or what is DeepSeek?
So the reason why DeepSeek was like the rave of the town is its comparison to OpenAI, especially for ChatGPT. So the likes of Elon Musk and some of the top pioneers of non-profit angle of AI, they started ChatGPT and the rest of them before you knew it. It took a different turn and then it was made for a profit, right? So now there's a large amount of money has been pumped into OpenAI to create more reliable versions of ChatGPT, right? That can be able to do things. We had version 3.5, 4.0, 4.0, 1 and 2, and some other versions as well. Now, and the access code or the source code for some of these things we are not declared open source. When you say something is open source, it means that the members of the community have access to it,
to everybody.
and people can contribute to its development process. So it was not open source. So out of nowhere, a very small company in China created a more reliable version, so they said, a more reliable version called DeepSeek.
Of the ChatGPT or OpenAI.
Like it's a large learning model, like ChatGPT.
Got it.
But they are basically saying that DeepSeek it's outperforming ChatGPT.
ChatGPT.
So,
Got it.
and it took them a lesser amount of money to be able to create that DeepSeek, somewhere around $6 million, compared to the amount of money that was pumped into ChatGPT's OpenAI. Sorry, OpenAI's ChatGPT. And again, it's coming from China that has an AI war with the US. So within that period of time, all the whole US stocks that were tied to AI and the rest of them were plummeting. They were going down. So people were like, it's as though they were pulling out their funds from those things to probably buy something different. So DeepSeek was open source. We heard that it had better accuracy than ChatGPT, and it was coming from China. And then it had lesser parameters to be trained. There's something called training parameters. There's amount of parameters to be trained when a large learning model is training, or even other models are going through a training phase, of the machine learning cycle. And what else again happened? It took them a lesser amount of money to be able to create that stuff, and it was open source.
Yeah.
Coming from China. So it was the rave of the moment, and all of that. So it's impacted a couple of things, with the open AI. At some point, we heard that we are talking about privacy concerns, or that this is what China wants to use to steal people's information and the rest of them. So it was $6 million compared to I don't know how much they pump into open AI. And all of that. And I heard that they also used lesser amount of NVIDIA GPU cores for the training compared to what OpenAI used.
So it was a fear for the community that invested in ChatGPT, and somebody was like, oh, it's the billionaires who got affected. It doesn't really concern me because I was down there and I didn't really invest in all of those stuff.
Yeah.
But it's good to know.
So the thing is that too, that because ChatGPT it has like some sort of quantum training.
Yep.
Ordinarily, they have like specialized huge data centers that also support the training of ChatGPT, right? And for them to do that, sometimes some of them partner with companies like NVIDIA to be able to get like very very high quality GPU cores for the training. You can't run machine learning models, very large machine learning models without GPU or faster training. So, but these guys are saying that they did it with lesser. And so because ChatGPT was there and some other companies were using them, and there was a very high demand for NVIDIA, their stocks went high. So but when DeepSeek came out and people saw that they were able to do that similar kind of training to ChatGPT using lesser amount of NVIDIA core, their stock price plummeted.
There you go.
Down.
Yeah. So to an extent, it was an issue for the wealthy.
Yeah.
For all the stock investors. We're not saying the wealth, but all the stock investors. But that's good to know. Sammy, I have learned so much on this today. I think this is not the end because, like we have said, AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere.
Definitely.
And so what I'm saying is we're going to have this chat another time as things evolve, as we learn more about new upcoming like deepseek and all that. We need to talk about it because our children need to know about this. It's sad, like you said earlier, when kids in Africa are growing up to the age of 10, they're lost. They don't even know what they're doing. You ask a kid in America at the age of 6, what do you want to do? They have an idea. It might not come to fruition, but they have a likeness. I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer. Even if the firefighter, just that idea in your brain about what you want to be, it's great.
Let me quickly help you there. So this little kid I was talking about, that it's part of our robotics and coding club. So by 10, this kid knows a specific area of science that he wants to be a part of. I knew about biomedical sciences, when I arrived, somewhere around my mid-20s or thereabout, because of course I'm just in the computer sciences, right? So for this kid, already knew people who won Nobel prizes
in that field
industry, right? And he knew some certain things that he wants to do in science. He said he loves sciences, biomedical as well. So, and he's just 11.
Yeah.
He's an Indian kid. He's just 11. And this is not just to say some people are superior than other people.
No, you're just describing.
Learn. It's good that we learn from this and start very early. I read about a book here that is dedicated to kids here in the US to learn about artificial neural networks. That is the foundation of most deep learning models. It's like it's a book, and it shows children how it is done.
Children version, yeah.
Yeah, drawings, show them drawings. And the big question is like, what do kids do here in summer? Learn how to swim.
Yeah.
Some of them build robots, go for robotics competitions. What do we do with summer in Africa? We go for summer lesson and learn about what we need to learn in the next term.
Don't get me started.
What we want to learn in the next term, I learn it here. Our kids are just roaming around the streets without no sense of direction. Why? Even our parents, some of them are not knowledgeable about what to do with the early stages of their child's life. And so it's a thing. It's something that we must have to learn how to explore and utilize properly if we want to
Absolutely. I saw something online last time. I think it was last year during what we call the long holidays or 30 holidays in Cameroon. This parent had his kids at home, and it was the second day of the long holidays. And he made a video. What am I going to do with this for these 3 months? It's already day number 2. Look at how you're making my house noisy. I'm thinking, yeah, there's something you can do if you think about what you can do with this kids' time to impart some skills into them.
Yeah.
That's the thing that we lack. We foster so much book work in Africa. We want all them to have the A's. Yes, even here people want their kids to have A's, but besides that, where's your A taking you to?
Sure.
We don't have a direction for our A's in Africa. Yeah. With all this classification of you took first, second, third, fourth in class, it doesn't really help. You're first in a class of 50, it doesn't make you the best in the province or something, or in whatever you're doing, just that people were behind you. Like you said, if you're in an environment where you're 20 years old and the others are succeeding the same thing like you, you're not succeeding because you're just in in a linear, whatever line. You're just there. So we have to. We're not just saying that your kids have to know AI or all these science. We're saying that your kids have to be encouraged in things that they are good at a very young age, because that's how they're going to become productive in life.
So at the end of the day, too, whether the kids choose to do AI or not, expose them to it. So because what I've seen over time is that, sometimes we are limited in the not in the circle of knowledge that we have. Because if there were some things that I knew earlier on growing up, there are opportunities I'm seeing for kids here that some of them are not even willing to take. That we say, if we had them when we were growing up, we would have taken them. We didn't know.
Right.
Anybody back home, what they want to do, everybody wants to become a medical doctor.
Right.
To become either a mechanical engineer and about. But there are newer things are emerging, and we never had access to some of those knowledge. What we're saying in essence, how would you know if your kids will love AI if you don't expose it to them in the first place?
Exactly. Yeah.
And you can never tell. Tomorrow it could be a lifeline for them. Maybe the medicine and surgery they want to do will not work, and the AI key, even self as a medical doctor, it's a plus for you, because if you go for an interview at a company, all you know is about the human body and how to perform surgery. Add it to someone who knows how to use R code, use MySQL, and some other tools as well to do data analysis. You're a huge plus, and it can improve this kind of salary, the median salary.
Absolutely.
So you can never tell. So
AI is used for medical diagnosis today as well.
We use AI to know if someone is drunk or not, or if someone is under the influence of marijuana. We can use that to do that. They have AI tools for that.
What can AI not do? Let's come back and talk about this, Sami. What can AI not do? Plan that and we have a conversation. It's been wonderful talking with you. I have learned so much. I can keep this going for long, but again, everything has to come to an end, at least for today. But like I said, AI is here to stay. You've also said that, but what can it not do? Let's come back and explore that sometime in the future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to all those who joined us online. Thank you. This is Talk to Me Africa. I love to bring authentic discussions and conversations that are reliable and educative to our audience. And today I had Samuel Uche, known as MC Sami, on Talk to Me Africa. It's been a pleasure having you here today, Sami. Please come back.
I will.
Before I let you go, I love African proverbs. I love African proverbs. Tell me an African proverb in any language, but try to explain to us what it means.
Okay. So there's one that we usually say that about the consequences of choices on an individual and societal scale. So it's basically saying Ofaka rotamano ozoha. So what that simply means is that one finger touches the palm oil, it gets to everybody. So if you commit a blunder or do something that is not right, somehow the repercussions can trickle to the entire society.
Wow.
Just wrong decisions. Let's look at the home. If as a father you decide to become an armed robber, you have 4 kids. The day you are caught and probably executed or sent to prison, your kids will grow up without fathers, and your wife will not enjoy the husband of her youth. So, but it was a personal decision. You say it's your life. Basically, this proverb is basically saying, I know they've told you it's your life, live it the way you want to live it, but that doesn't work in reality. So because actions have consequences, and those consequences is not just going to be about you, it's going to touch other people around you. So you live your life bearing that reality or consciousness. So
say it again. And that's in the Igbo language.
That's in the Igbo language, yes.
The beauty of these African proverbs is the visualization of it. When you mention palm oil, I got it. Now you talk about consequences, I'm lost.
Yeah, because because the thing is that if a person is putting on white and palm oil spills on it,
there you go.
First of all, everybody's gonna see it,
and
it's gonna be hard to remove. So basically, some actions have an indelible consequence. You don't just go out there and you cheat on your spouse and think that they're gonna forgive you and move on. You don't just go there and do some certain kinds of work and feel that your kids are going to run away from that. People are gonna mock them. So there's like a lot of things there. So actions have consequences.
They do.
Those consequences may not just end with you. You, as a father, you had an opportunity to take up a skill that will give your kids a better life, and you did not do that. They're gonna struggle, and if they're gonna struggle, sometimes some people have to send them to go and live with other people. And sometimes when you send them to go live with other people, sometimes they can become
maltreatment,
sexual abuse or maltreatment. So it's it's a compound of actions and the rest of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Like they say, a roller coaster,
yeah.
a wrecking ball.
Yeah.
But again, I just love the palm oil version of it. You touch the palm oil, it drips on the white, and everybody is stained.
Yeah, definitely.
MC Sammy, it's been a pleasure knowing you and hosting you on Talk to Me Africa today. You have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you another time on this same platform.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
I see you again.
definitely. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.